Okay, so in a special way, let me welcome you all by saying Mabrika.
Mabrika.
And Mabrika, what that means is greetings and welcome in our Kalinago
Brika,
language.
Brika.
So what we have inside here is basic information. I will just summarize what we have inside here, and then if you choose to have photos afterwards, or you want to read afterwards, you could do that. It's up to you. Okay, so what we have here, that's a map of the world, and it is said that human beings was originated from East Africa and they spread across the world through Asia. Now here we have the ancestors of the first people who arrived here in Dominica and the Caribbean. They came out of Asia, across the Bering Straits, and all the way down to South America. Up here we have the three main groups who came to the Caribbean before the arrival of Christopher Columbus. So here we have the Mayans who came 4000 BC. Then you have the Arawaks who came 3000 BC. Then you have the Kalinago people who were known as Caribs in the past who came 200 BC. They came from South America and they traveled along the Orinoco River and went up to all the different Caribbean islands. Now this is how they actually travel in little shallow vessels like this, along with family, food, plants, animals to settle the different islands. Here we have some of the different plants that were introduced to the island and still used today. So we have annatto, we also have corn, papaya, custard apple, soursop, pineapple, raspberry, cassava, which we actually use to make the local cassava bread. This is what it looks like. I'm not too sure if you have tasted it.
Yes, Farin and Bang Bang. Great.
Okay, here we have all the Caribbean islands in the Kalinago names, but majority of them will change. And also all of them will change, just a few that remain. For those that remain, they are Bahama, you have also have the Abaco Islands, you have Cuba. So all of those islands, they still have the original Kalinago names, but all the others they will change, including our island Dominica. The original name for our island, it was known as Waitukubuli, meaning tall is her body, but today it is known as Dominica. To this side here, this simple shows the aspects of the cultural heritage of the Kalinago people. So here we have the different tools which was being used in the past. You have the axes made out of stones. You also have the conch shell. The conch shell was very important in the past. Use it as a form of communication, but today we have cell phones, faster way of communicating. So there we use the conch shell. That's the way we advertise that fish is on sale, by blowing off the conch shell. Okay, here we have this tree here. This is known as the cormier tree, and this is what the canoes are being made from. The back of this tree also produces a sap which is called gum. In the past, it was used for torchlights, relieving of toothache, also for incense and so on. Today, we use it for lighting a fire, keeping away mosquitoes. Those of us who are Catholics, that's what they use in the churches as a form of incense. Now, first of all, in order to make the canoes, you have to cut down the tree. When it falls to the ground, dig into it, put water and stones in there, fire on the outside of it. The water and stones have to prevent it from splitting, whereas the fire gets the water very hot on the inside and it actually gives it its overall shape that it actually has. Also, in the past, there was no form of navigation, so the moon, the stars, and the sun was being used as a form of navigation. Here we have those traditional houses. We have the tabwi or the cabe. We also have the muina. Tabwi was a Kalinago word given to a large communal house. It was like the main meeting area. So that's where the chief would actually be, have meetings, ceremonies. Today we use this building for cultural performances, wedding receptions, meetings, functions. Muina referred to as a family house. This year, it simply shows the route that Columbus took on his second voyage in 1493. Now this time they came with 70 ships. So they traveled along the Atlantic Ocean. They came to the east of our island. But they did not anchor their ship due to the rough sea derogatory coastline because that's the Atlantic. So they went up to Marigold, but he sent one of his ships off of the island, which is Portsmouth. But when they arrived here, they met the indigenous people living on the island already. So they did not stay, they went back up to Marigold, they regrouped, then they went to Guadeloupe, then back up to North Hispaniola. Now when they arrived up at North Hispaniola, he said that they had discovered new land, and they named it Dominica. But that's not true, because the Kalinago people, they were already here on the island, and Columbus himself, he never came here to the island. At the back here, those are photographs of some of our past chiefs, and we vote for a chief every 5 years. So our first official recognized chief was in 1903 under the British administrator of Esquive Bell. So we the Kalinago people, we are the ones who elect our chief every 5 years by vote of choice. Even if we have our chief, we still have someone who represents us in government as well. So we still vote during general election time. So whoever represents us in government has to work together with the chief to develop the Kalinago territory. Here we had Jamadou Francis, our longest serving chief. He served from 1959 to 1972. We have Irvins Auguste, he was the youngest, got elected at 21, and he served for 10 years. So he served from 1984 to 1994. Mr. Charles Williams, he was our former chief. Present chief today, Lorenzo Sanford. That's his photograph up here. He's about 25 years old, but elected in 2019. At the back here, those are some words in Kalinago language. We do not have our own language. We speak English just like everybody else. But we know a few words out of the Kalinago language. To this side over here, that's a map of the Kalinago territory. It was also established in 1903. We live on 3,783 acres of communally owned land. We do not have any individual land title to say that that land is my land, that land belongs to the other person. The chief is responsible for all the lands that we have in the Kalinago territory, so it cannot be sold to persons who are non-Kalinago. It can only be sold among we the Kalinago people. What can be sold are the crops, the plants, what we have on the land, not the land itself. So it goes on from generation down to generation. Here we have crafts made from calabash. Calabash was very important to the Kalinago people in the past. They use it as a kitchen utensil to eat from, to drink from, to store fish. When it's in whole, it would be used in storing of water, which keeps the water very fresh. Today, some persons still continue to eat out of this traditional bowl. We also use it for making of seasoning bowls, also as a form of decoration as well. Here we have crafts made from tree fern. There's a giant tree fern, which we call fuige, or the mask you see up front. This is what they've been made from. Those baskets here, those are waterproof baskets, and they actually use those when they travel. And even if it falls into the water, water wouldn't get through it. It would only float onto the water. So the leaves of the heliconia being placed at the bottom, and the lauma is the material that we use in the weaving of the basket, is being weaved around it. Okay, so we have about 3,500 persons living here, and the Kalinago territory, it consists of 8 hamlets. So we have come to the end of our short presentation here. You can have your photos if you wish to.